This episode is about the amazing journey of Ajoy Prabhu, who gave up an extremely illustrious career in the US of 35 years to relocate to India with his family to pursue his passion to help cure people permanently of chronic diseases like arthritis, diabetes, blood pressure, etc. Hi, this is Vasudevan, author of Follow Your Heart, Your Brain is Stupid. This channel is dedicated to those who wish to take charge and to create for themselves a life of freedom, joy, and happiness. This episode is going to blow your mind away, so watch till the very end. So let's jump right into the chat. Hi, Ajay. Welcome to my chat show, and it's a pleasure having you here. And thank you very much for accepting my invitation.
My pleasure.
Viewers, we have with us our extremely special guest, Ajoy Prabhu. Ajoy is a medical scientist and is also an entrepreneur. I would say he's a serial entrepreneur. He has spent more than 35 years in the US and working almost 18 years with the US government, out of which many years he has spent at the White House, leading about 29 medical institutions like NIH, CDC, and FDA in marketing medical technologies. He also has authored 3 patents. About 3 years ago, after such an illustrious career in the US, Ajoy took the decision to come back to his motherland. Why did he do it? I'm going to ask Ajoy to share with us. Over to you, Ajoy.
Thank you so much for having me on this show here. Actually, I am humbled that you brought me on, but I also saw some of the other ones that you've done, and I think it's really inspiring to have something like this. Gives a positive vibe to the community as a whole. So thank you.
It's my pleasure, Ajoy. I would like you to share your journey, and it's a really amazing journey.
Sure.
I'm sure it's going to be really inspiring for all our viewers.
Okay, so I'll just begin where I think best is, just to start where I think my career really blossomed. I went to US in 1986. 86 onwards, I was there, and I went to the School of Medicine in University of Maryland in Maryland. I also went to Johns Hopkins, did some more studies in epidemiology. Then I went back and did my MBA. But in between, I was with a large company, was doing a lot of research for them, creating diagnostic tests and all. And so I did that for whatever 20 odd years. I was with the large and later on I was with a smaller company developing something similar. And ultimately, about 24 years ago, I joined the US government. And the role there was very unique. Actually, what happened was when I was doing my MBA, the director was also doing her MBA there, and she said, "Oh, we need people like you in the government." And I said, "I really don't think it's appropriate for a private enterprise person to go to the government." But then she convinced me. She said that we need people like you because we want the private institutions' perspective. So that's how I joined the government. And it was very fruitful for me. I saw a lot of technologies 10 years ahead of its time. So ultimately, I worked for the White House, actually for Obama administration only, and I helped them collate all the medical technologies into one space so that it's easier to present it to the public and to the companies that wanted to license it. So that was my role there. So it's been a great journey in US. And then just to finish this thing off, but my wife and I have been talking about moving back to India, and about 3 years ago, right in the middle of COVID, we moved to India, and we've set up our own little startup here in helping people reverse their disease conditions like diabetes, PCOS, arthritis, heart disease, etc.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now in Mumbai.
Okay. So Ajoy, after about 35 years in the US and after having established yourself so well there, or what were the thoughts that came in your mind when you were contemplating this change to India, and it's not an easy decision because most of us,
Yeah.
struggle with even much smaller decisions. And you,
Yeah.
35 years there in a fantastic role with so much of recognition, 3 patents, and then you decided to leave that and then come to India.
I mean, I don't think of it as leaving all that because
Okay.
whatever I've achieved, it's still with me, right? I mean, sometimes people call me from other countries and asking me about how does the U.S. government work, so I can consult for them. So that skill base, the knowledge base that I have, is still with me. I look at it like that. Yes, the opportunity or making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, I don't have that anymore because I moved. But then I traded one for the other. I mean, I traded money for having a slight. I mean, in India, people don't think that. People think that it's very stressful and day-to-day struggles are there. Absolutely agree. But on a basic level, the day-to-day struggles, yes, they're there in India, but in US it's like a base, or in the Western world, there's like a base level of stress or anxiety that does not go away. People are more lonely there. Violence, particularly in US, is very high. Costs are exorbitant. I believe my wife just told me that prices have increased 35-40% since last year. Things are becoming unaffordable.
Okay.
Our own friends have they have like 2 or 3 jobs to support their family, not just one job. Things, generally the companies are taking advantage of this, and for example, the reason why they are taking 2-3 jobs is because there's a law that says that if you're working full time, you have to give them health insurance. So the companies are preferring people to take them for part-time work, right, and not give them health benefits, and then they have to find another part-time job, so that between the two they can make enough money, and then amongst all that, if that is not enough to pay their insurance, mostly it's about insurance, they take a third job. It's crazy. So that was not the US that I remember, landing 35 years ago. It's become very different. It's become very challenging. I'm not saying that it's not full of opportunities, but I'm saying that it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Here you have day-to-day stresses. There you have long-term anxiety about a lot of things.
Okay. So Ajay, what normally happens, when we are about to take this decision, and this is what I have covered in my book also. There's always a conflict. Your heart is saying something, I want to do this, but your brain, the logical brain, will try to stop you, right? And I'm sure you would have experienced the same thing. So how did you get over that? That would be very interesting for our viewers.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody knows me more like a logical person. So whenever they want and analyze this and give us a very logical answer, I do that. So I'm very good at it.
Right.
What I'm not good at is listening to my heart, ironically, right? However, what has happened is over the years, after I married, my wife, who's actually an American, she's lived in India. She loved India when she was in medical school, and for her it was like I want this kind of a lifestyle. And for us Indians, what happens is, in Hindi there is this phrase, ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So we never think of it as a good thing that we might have in India. Sitting here, you don't realize what good you have here. So she made me realize all that stuff. So when she made me realize that, I said, yeah, that is true. I mean, it would be nicer for my children to be here. It would be nicer for me to not worry on a day-to-day basis. Okay, I have to leave at 8:45, otherwise my boss is gonna yell at me, or worse, tell me that he's gonna cut my pay or something like that. So the stress levels in that kind of way would disappear. Social life would be better. It's our people, so it's a lot easier to connect to our people. And even though my wife is American, she's more Indian than I am, so she connects fantastically with anybody on the street. So except her skin color keeps her away, but otherwise she's very well connected to the community as such, society as such. So those things actually made a difference to me, and I said, okay, these things are important. And I guess the main thing is somebody just recently asked me why this is very similar to you is even though I was helping people in US, I was helping maybe tens of thousands, maybe even lakhs of people in one, just by signing a piece of document. But I never saw the smile on the faces of the people that got help. I never got, I never could show that, I could never see that smile or something. So now that we've set up a startup company where we are actually helping people go from disease to not having the disease, and we meet them and they say that you've actually saved our life. It makes a big difference to me. Maybe it hits my ego a little bit, saying, oh, I helped this gentleman or lady. But regardless, I feel that it's great to see something like that happen. So I'm very enthusiastic about waking up in the morning. It's like that Japanese sense of ikigai, where what is your purpose in life, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
Once I realized that is my purpose, that my purpose is to help people and educate people about what is right and what is wrong as far as medicine and health is concerned, I jump out of bed every day in the morning to work on stuff that I feel very enthusiastic and very strongly about. So that was not happening as much in US actually. It was all paperwork and buried in the paperwork, never realizing what is the benefit of it.
Wow. So viewers, did you see that? What's very important for all of us, it's not about the money, the status and all that. What's very important is what is it coming from inside you? And that
Absolutely.
is real fulfillment. And if you listen to that, and that is what is, what's coming from the heart. Now what Ajay shared is that was what his heart was wanting him to do. But the brain will always tell you, guys, don't leave so much of money, so much status, and you going back, it will always try to stop you, as you know. But it is so important that you introspect and understand what is that your heart is saying. What is it that's going to give you the real feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction? And that's what Ajay took the decision. And following on from that, Ajay, how has life been, since the time you moved in US is totally different, right? This sort of comfort and all that is going to be very different. So how has life been with you?
So I think, we both are quite self-sufficient people, so we don't really wait for, a servant or something like that, because we've been, I was almost brought up there because, I went there when I was 20 something. So, I was almost brought up there. So I have that same thing where I need to just do it myself kind of a thing. So coming here and even a single person coming in and just doing jhadu pocha for me was like, oh my God, I have so much more time to devote to other things. And yet if that person is not there, it does not bother me one bit. I just go out and, just do the stuff that needs to be done, whether it's cleaning the bathroom or doing the dishes or whatever, because that's just, normal for me. So those parts are fantastic in India. Really, really good. People obviously, no matter what, a single one of my kids falls sick, and instantly I get 5 phone calls saying, how is he? Can I come? Can I help you? And so on. And they actually, even if I say no, I hear the bell ringing because they're coming in to just say hi, and we brought some lunch so that you don't have to cook, and like stuff like that. And that's not there in the West. It's not there in the US. It's very isolated. No wonder people are very anxious and commit suicide, and violence is there very rampant. A lot of people have a lot of pent-up anger. I think that's one of the key things that I meant to tell you, that I feel that in US, people, there's always there is an adversarial thing going on all the time.
Okay.
And here it is not the case. Yesterday I talked to a CA, and it was very clear to the CA that I'm not going to hire him. Yet he was so free with his opinion, his thoughts, his recommendations, and so on. And I told him, I said, you really helped me a lot. He says, no, you continue to talk to your CA about X, Y, Z. And I said, oh, thank you so much. This wouldn't happen in US, because they would first think about money. They'll say, if this guy is not coming to me, why should I give him all this free advice? Come to me, talk to me for an hour, I'll give you my bill, and I'll talk to you,
Yeah.
That's not there here. From a professional standpoint, I think it's amazing that people are so generous in India. So that's something we absolutely love. Day-to-day struggles were there initially because for us, because I was there for 35 years, 36, 35 years. So there was no way I could have kept my Indian passport. I tried to keep it for as long as I could. I kept it for like 17, 18 years. And then once I joined the government, no, more than 17, 18 years. Anyway, when I joined the government, they said you have to get the US passport, otherwise US citizenship, otherwise you cannot see all the secret documents and stuff that we're working on.
Right.
So I was kind of forced to, take that on. So because of the fact that we had US documents and stuff like that, so it took a little time to, get our Aadhaar card and all those, the establishment, the documentation, especially for our company. And when they see her, they say, and then for her to be registered as a doctor, and instead she was one of the first ones to be registered. So to be registered as a doctor, 1,000 questions. I say, kaise ho sakta hai? How can somebody have 2 MDs? How can she be allowed to practice here in India? And all, so we had those problems. Absolutely, I will not deny it. Government, the bureaucracy in state governments is absolutely. I cannot believe it's 2023 and we're still having such horrible problems with it. However, the central government, on the other hand, has streamlined it so much now that it's a lot easier to get the stuff done online. So and I'm hopeful. We came with our eyes open. We knew that there would be a problem with doing a lot of these things, but like I said again, 6 of 1, half a dozen. Some things we left behind, saying we don't want this, and we were tossing those things out. We were thinking, oh my God, we were also tossing a beautiful house, tossing a beautiful car, driving nice roads. No problems in buying groceries and stuff. And those kind of things were there, yes. However, there's a lot of benefits on this side. So we embraced the benefits and said, okay, we'll embrace the problems also. So whenever we had problems, we would always tell ourselves, this is the way it is. We don't have a choice here. We just have to, systematically go through it and do what it takes, especially the bureaucracy. I think other than that, nothing has been a problem for us. Everything has been fantastic. So I'm glad we came now rather than later. So
right. No, I completely agree with you, because when we were living in the US, we experienced the same thing. And here, children will just go down and play with other children. So it's a complete free, play for them. We don't have to bother,
Yeah.
But in the US, if my child wants to go to someone, I have to call up the parents. Is this time okay?
Yes.
I'll come and drop you.
Yes.
Then he'll say, no, I don't have time to drop you back. Children
Yeah,
growing up,
it's just a
they
child
should
play
do
field.
what they want,
Yes.
when they want. Yeah.
Yes.
And the second point which you made is I also experience the same thing. People are very materialistic. In the US, even Indians become materialistic there.
Yes.
They will think twice. The child is not well. I should not let me call up. Yeah, bindas. They will just ring the bell.
Exactly.
Right? That gives that warmth.
Yes.
That feeling,
Yeah.
that you are wanted.
Mm-hmm.
You will never get it anywhere else. Yeah, no way.
Yeah. I agree. Absolutely. In fact, I'm always afraid that we went to France a couple months ago, and we constantly tell our children, sit down, don't go there, don't look at the plant, don't look at these people, eat your lunch that we've provided you. They wanted to behave like they were in India. They wanted they saw a plant, they wanted to go see the plant. They're in a restaurant. And they wanted to walk out of the door and see the plant. I said, this is not India. You cannot do that. You have. There are certain norms here. My son accidentally brushed past a lady who was walking very fast, and she turned around and yelled and screamed at him. An older lady that too. In France, and that same thing 100% happened in America also, because there is like pent up, like I said, like low-level anger for something, or like adversarial. What are you doing? This is my right to walk here. Your 5-year-old child is bumping into her, and she's getting angry. There is no way. Forget an older lady. Even a youngster would get mad at my child for bumping into them. They'll just laugh it off or whatever. And so it's that level, the feeling of camaraderie and community feeling, even if you go to the streets, regardless of whether you know the person or not, always helpful. That does not. It's something that's I think it in my opinion, it actually helps decrease the stress level and increase your longevity.
Right. I think this is inherent. It's right from our generation after generation. We have inculcated those things, so it comes naturally to us. We don't have to, put up something, right? That's
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
great part here. Okay.
Exactly.
One question to you. I don't think you have, but let me still ask you that question. Do you have any regrets about having left all that lovely, things there in the US and coming back to India?
Yeah. So definitely there are regrets that I cannot do anything about. I absolutely, after especially, I love driving. Okay, I used to have really nice cars there, and I loved, going for miles and miles and miles on those highways, right? So I regret some of the materialistic things that I left. I'm a human being, so I mean it happens to everybody, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel bad about it, but instantly I say, in exchange, what did I get?
Exactly.
Right. So yesterday we were out till 1 a.m. and I had a driver that was taking care of the car. I didn't have to worry about the traffic or going places and so on and so forth. I exchanged that, right? I didn't have to, I didn't have to like get stressed about, okay, now I have to drive, in the night and so on, which is what would happen in US. The other thing, I think this is something that is very strange that you may not have heard of other people saying, but in India, especially in cities, we restrict our people from doing things that should not be restricted. I mean, if I'm going towards the water and at the seashore, and there are rocks or something, some police wala will come behind me and show him his stick or whistle at me and say, hey, udhar mat jao,
Right.
I know what he's trying to do is he's trying to protect me by saying, okay, don't go there, you'll fall and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that individual sense of freedom that you get in other Western countries is, and I'm fairly good with, I'm very outdoorsy person. So this picture behind me was shot in a glacier in Iceland. So and I went there alone for 4 days. So I'm fairly good with doing things. So that's something that I really miss here in India. Of course, if I go to the wilderness where there's nobody, obviously there's no police wala whistling at me, so I can do whatever I want. Right. Unfortunately, I have not had too many opportunities to do such things here yet. So those are the only two things. Otherwise, I mean, I'm okay with the fact that things take slower, more time. Corruption is there, but I don't see that as much as I used to see 15 years ago.
Earlier, okay.
Day-to-day corruption. I have not had to deal with it so far. It's been 3 years. I'm happy about it. But I know that it's there. People complain. My relatives complain about it. Isko paisa dena pada, and so on. So that's there. But otherwise, I think that those are kind of regrets that I've traded them in for something else. So if I go back to the US, I'll drive fast on those highways and get my satisfaction. So it's not a big deal. Nothing big deal.
Okay, you set up some clinics and you do consult along with your wife Jenny, that you are doing some consulting services. So if any of our viewers would like to connect with you, if you can just share your contact numbers or whatever, I will update it in the description, so that if anybody wants, they can always contact you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That'll be good.
More than happy to do that.
Yeah. What are, say, one or two key messages that you like to leave with our viewers?
I think one of the main message is exactly what you said before. Don't think too much about these things. Everything kind of evens out in the world. In your life, everything evens out. So don't, especially, I mean, I know I'm probably, because thanks to the internet, I'm sure NRIs can also be watching this. And I know that I've been in hundreds of parties where all we used to discuss was how next year we're going to go back to India. And no, but they're still there. The same people are still there because they analyze too much. If you sit and analyze too much, there's something called analysis-paralysis, right? So you get paralyzed.
Especially the logical people get trapped in that.
Yes, and I was guilty of that, and I'm glad I could get out of it. So follow your heart, and it'll be fine. Number one. Number two is, I think there is tons and tons of stuff that we take for granted in India our rich, very, very rich heritage, our culture. We just take it for granted and don't think much about it, and we are so attracted to the Western culture and Western Western, I guess, culture, whatever that is. And we don't think about, for thousands of years, for example, I'm just picking one example is Ayurveda. I mean, thousands of years we've been using Ayurveda. Just my wife and I were talking the other day, something we were talking about for dengue, we're using some extract of papaya leaf extract. And that's been there for at least a few hundred years, right? Nobody talks about it, nobody thinks about it. They just go straight to allopathy and try to solve the problems. Similarly, there are so many things about our eating habits, our exercise habits, our lifestyle habits, waking up early, sleeping early, and all those things that have been taught for thousands of years, unfortunately, are disappearing. And if we don't do something about it ourselves, it's going to be only a loss for us and our children. If you don't want to think about anybody else, think about your own children and say, no, I need to continue this process, what I learned from my parents and my grandparents and my great grandparents, so that there's a better future for my child or my children and other people's children. Because you want to leave leave a world better for the rest of for the coming generations. So those are my two messages. Hopefully that's
absolutely wonderful. So viewers, I'm sure you would have loved this episode and what Ajay shared. I'm really amazed that he took such decisions, even small decisions we struggle with. And the key message that he also said is, don't get into analysis paralysis. Follow your heart, and because your heart knows where you want to go. The brain will always try to stop you from going where you want to go because it wants to protect you. That's all is the job of the brain. And I have been a victim. Most of us are a victim of that. We struggle, we want to do something, but we are not able to move forward. It's such an inspiring journey that Ajay had. I'm sure there'll be lots that you'll be able to pick up from this. So thank you once again, Ajay, for taking time off your busy schedule and accepting my invitation to be part of it. It was an absolutely wonderful session. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure our viewers would have picked up a lot that we can directly implement in our lives. With that, viewers, thank you very much for joining us. And if you found value in this episode, do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. See you in the next episode. Thank you very much, Ajay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next.
Bye.
Bye.